Yesterday, I was live for 10 hours straight covering our major winter storm with assistance from storm chasers on the ground, including Reed Timmer. Hey Reed, we haven't got an update from you in a second. How's it going there? What's the conditions like?
Hey Ryan, I'm actually taking a leak right now here in the 7-Eleven, but I am in Spartanburg.
Over 500,000 people tuned in as we provided warnings for damaging tornadoes in Florida, road closures in the southeast, and incredible amounts of heavy wet snow all across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Last night into early this morning, while the majority of that snow was falling, hurricane-force winds caused major problems along the shoreline from the Mid-Atlantic region all the way up into Cape Cod. Okay, as always with the weather, we gotta stop talking about the past and start looking at the future. Here we go. All right, starting out here in the northeastern portion of the U.S., looking at the NAM 3-kilometer model. This is what the radar is going to look like as we go forward, and as always, the time's going to be right there above my head. This is what we're going to be looking at around the time this video goes up, and then once we go into the future a little bit, let's say 3 p.m., we're still going to be talking about some wind, rain, and snow in Maine, but this is really when the storm's going to be exiting the country, and the biggest effects are going to be moving into portions of Canada, Nova Scotia, all of our northeasterly friends. By the time we get into 7 p.m. this evening, we're just talking about scattered snow showers here and there, and really the main area of precipitation is going to be completely out of here by early in the morning tomorrow, and then it'll be completely gone, okay? Only leaving us behind with some of that northwest flow over here on the lakes. That's going to lead to some more lake effect snow and lake enhanced snow from Erie, Pennsylvania into western New York, all the way down into the Appalachian Mountains where that upslope lake enhanced snow will take effect. Low temperatures tomorrow morning are going to be very cold, especially up here in Maine, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. We're talking about single digits up here, even down on our coastal cities from DC to Boston, we're talking about 20s. Teens through a lot of western New York and upstate PA. So basically, it's going to be getting pretty chilly out here, okay? But if you think that that's cold, you just wait. All right, let's switch over here to the Euro model, and now we're going to talk about this upcoming Arctic blast. Here's a look at that cold pool of air that's going to be over the eastern U.S. tomorrow. You can see already we have another big plume of warmer than average temperatures kind of filtering into the central U.S. I've talked about this pattern that we're in a lot, where we go from below average to above average in waves. This is going to continue, and that's why we're going to see more storms in the future. After this ridge tries to move off to the east, we're going to get another big cool down, and this one's going to affect pretty much everybody east of the Rocky Mountains. Now, you guys over here in the plateaus all the way over to the west coast and the Pacific Northwest, you're not going to feel this, okay? In fact, you're going to be a little bit above average during this time frame. And by the way, this is on Thursday. This is not voodoo land, okay? If I was trying to tell you exact temperatures, then it would be a little wonky, but we are pretty certain now that a big area of colder than average temperatures is going to infiltrate the vast majority of the U.S., and it's going to set the stage for a very interesting weather pattern. Look at this, -10, -20 up here in the northern portion of the U.S., up there in Minnesota and North Dakota. It's in the -10s all the way down here in Iowa. We're talking about single-digit temperatures in a huge region that goes all the way down into Missouri, into Illinois, down through the Great Lakes region, and even southwest Texas is going to be getting in on those sub-freezing temperatures. And basically everybody on Thursday is going to need a jacket, except you guys down here in the extreme southeast, but you're going to get it, don't you worry. Let me just scoot this forward a little bit for you, and look at that. Sunday, January 23rd, we are talking about temperatures in the 30s for the vast majority of the entire state of Florida. Okay, let's switch over to the GFS model and show you these upper air height anomalies once again. Remember, our red blobs are usually associated with higher pressure, warmer temperatures, and favorable weather. And then our nasty little blue blobs and green blobs here, this is where we start talking about our storms and our lower pressure and usually our colder temperatures. That's a grossly simplistic explanation, but it gets the job done, because all I'm trying to show you is the pattern that we're getting in. Basically, once again, everybody east of the Rockies here, we are going to be locked and loaded for a very active winter, especially for the next 2 weeks or so, maybe even all the way through the next month. Just look at the constant inundation and intensity of these blue blobs going over the same areas over and over again, kind of like bowling balls going through the U.S., and the pins are somewhere over here in the central and eastern U.S., and one of these things is going to get a strike. I see not only one, but two, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly even 9 opportunities for big winter storms just through February 2nd. One of the things that's causing this is our big red blobs up here towards the North Pole. We call this situation blocking. You might have heard of this, especially over here near Greenland, where some people will call it the North Atlantic Oscillation and refer to it as either positive or negative. But basically, the easiest way to explain the reason this is having such an effect on our weather is because storms and cold air, all that good stuff, usually gravitates towards the north. But when we have these areas of blocking up here, a lot of that cold air and storminess is suppressed to the south, and we kind kind of get this belt down here, especially the further south that suppression happens, where big storms and cold air just kind of go over the same areas over and over again. And that's the belt right here in our neck of the woods. It doesn't mean that we're going to have a blizzard every day. It doesn't even mean that we're going to have any historic storms come. It just means that we are locked and loaded in this pattern where it's actually going to feel like winter for a lot of us. So yeah, all of this is looking very interesting, but we've got to take it one storm at a time. Let's talk about our next upcoming storm that we know a little bit more about. All right, coming back down here to the lower 48, we're looking at the Euro model again. And here's our storm that we've been tracking and that we're looking at right now. That's going to skedaddle once again and be out of our hair pretty soon. The next thing that we've got to pay attention to is this low pressure system here. That's going to bring a little bit of snow up to the northern Great Lakes region, but most importantly, it's going to trail down that cold front that's going to bring down our major Arctic blast here that we've been talking about. You can see that happening very clearly as we go all the way through Wednesday, January 19th. At this time, you can start to see some precipitation increasing over here in the Pacific Northwest. This is going to bring some more, mainly rain, but also some snow to the higher elevations, especially once you get up there into the BC. But look at all that cold air coming down into the eastern and central portion of the U.S. And we've got snow showers down here in Colorado, Kansas, the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma, all the way down into Arizona and the border of Texas and Mexico, right there around the Rio Grande. Another thing that's going to be possible is that this big cold front is going to convect some showers, maybe some thunderstorms down here in southeastern Texas. But on the backside, we're going to see snow break out in the Ohio Valley all the way up through the northeast. And I actually think the Euro is underdoing it here. I think we're going to see a couple inches of snow more than likely from eastern Kentucky through West Virginia, all the way through Pennsylvania, maybe even into our coastal cities up there, New York City and Boston. Once again, that's not a big snowstorm at all. We're just expecting some flakes and some light accumulations from that. The big deal here is really going to be the cold air that locks in. And the reason that's a big deal is because here we go. Now we're talking about our next big storm, or our potential upcoming next major storm. All this cold air is kind of locked in here in the eastern U.S., but also look at all this moisture that's funneling up from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean. You can really see that there's some interaction going on here between that cold air and the warm air. The combining of those two dynamics usually leads to cyclogenesis right on the shore somewhere. So we could see a low pressure center form down here in the Gulf or over here south and east of the Carolinas, which is what the Euro shows right now. Check this out very quickly. On Friday into Saturday, a new low pressure center forms along that cold front, starts bringing down even more cold air. And yes, it is showing another major winter storm over here on the East Coast. This would affect a lot of the places that just saw snow and ice the other day or yesterday. Here comes another opportunity for you with this model showing heavy ice all the way to the beaches in South Carolina and North Carolina. And once again, heavy snow in Virginia all the way up through the Delmarva area. And if we take this even further out, we're seeing heavy snow there through Long Island and all of our major coastal cities as well, as that does slide off to the north and east. So let's go back in time a little bit, and let's everybody that's excited or upset by this, let's kind of calm our emotions a little bit. Once again, this is about 120 hours away, so things are going to change. But because of everything that I just showed you with our upper air pattern, because of all of our blue blobs and all that stuff, I do think that the pattern suggests that this is certainly possible. In fact, I think that the pattern suggests that this could actually be more intense than what the Euro is showing right now. Now, y'all know us weathermen are wrong all the time, so don't hang on my every word here, but I'm just saying from my experience, I think that this storm has the opportunity to become another major East Coast storm here, or if not this one, the one after that, because there's plenty coming. Okay, so there's more than just one model. Let's see what the GFS does with this storm. Early in the morning on Thursday, we're going to see that snow breakout here in the Ohio Valley. I still don't think it's doing enough up here. I think we're going to see some more snow up in the northeast from this too, but it could be a good hit for some of you there in the Appalachian Mountains. The GFS after that really doesn't do much of anything else. We've got some flakes here on the outer banks of North Carolina, but as you can tell, unlike the Euro, this doesn't put together a big storm. This is why you shouldn't get too excited or too upset. Things are going to change. Really, these weather forecast models were made for meteorologists. The public's not supposed to have access to this. Somebody like me or your local weatherman is supposed to look at this and then formulate their own forecast based on a cumulative understanding of all of the models. But on this channel, I'm just being 100% transparent with you. We're building our forecast together and we're looking at all the models. But do know, if you kind of keep up with the trends on every single run and every single different model, it's an exhausting way to look at meteorology, but at the same time, it's pretty fun. So that's what the GFS shows there. What about the Canadian? Okay, I like the Canadian's output here with our first shot of snow through Kentucky all the way up through Massachusetts, and then it does show show a new area of cyclogenesis beginning to occur around Friday and Saturday, and it does show a pretty similar solution as to what the Euro was showing, but just a little bit less amped. This does still show a lot of ice and snow, maybe from Louisiana and Texas all the way up through Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, but it's a little bit less amped. It's a little bit less impressive than what we saw on the Euro there. So that's our three options right now. That's our three different scenarios from the models that we look at. And once again, I think the Euro is probably looking the best right now. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some weather guy on YouTube. As always, huge shout out to our members over here. We got a bunch of new ones yesterday. Thank you guys so much. Guys, according to my statistics, literally over half of you all that are watching right now are not subscribed. What in the heck's up to that? What do I got to do to get you to subscribe? It's free. I ain't asking for much. Hit that subscribe button so that we can continue to grow the channel and get this vital information in front of as many people as possible. I'm probably going to try to take at least one day off and not post a video tomorrow, but of course, follow me on all my other social media stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.